Okay, for those that are joining, thank you for joining. This is our third virtual ATUG meeting. We appreciate you guys for joining. We know people are going to be calling in over the next few minutes, but we have a pretty packed agenda. We are trying our best to kind of condense these meetings a little bit and narrow things down some. Our typical meetings in person last about 3 hours. So virtual, we totally understand it needs to change up just a bit, but you're looking at my screen and I've got our agenda for today. We have some awesome speakers. And I can go through and speakers, but I'm going to let Nelson talk a little bit about a book club that is also going to happen in a few weeks.
Awesome. Yeah, so as everybody's filing in, if you've joined us at ATUG in the last few months, maybe starting back with the March ATUG, we came with the idea of doing something around a book club that's focused on, an opportunity for encouragement and hope in the middle of kind of a challenging season as we're all going through it. And so we came with the idea of doing something called Lit Leaders. And so we've read, this will be now our third book. The first book that we read was a book called Shackleton's Way, around the leadership concepts of the Antarctic explorer Ernest Shackleton. And then we read Make Your Bed, and wrapped that up, I guess, last week and had a great book club with a host of folks. And then this is the announcement for our third and potentially, hopefully, kind of final Lit Leaders. We're definitely going to take a pause after this and see if this is something that people want to continue to do into the future. But we're gonna pause after this one. But this is a really interesting and fascinating book. It's called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Maybe you can see some of the quotes up here from the book, but Frankl is was a psychologist who was a Jew going through the Nazi death camps in Auschwitz from 1942 to 1945, and such an impactful and amazing book. And the big ideas that we would kind of encourage people to jump into here. It talks about suffering, but learning how to cope and then find meaning and then find purpose. And so as we are all going through some challenging times, we felt like this would be a really deep but really interesting kind of final read on this. And so hopefully, if anybody's interested, take your phone out and hold it up to that QR code right there. That will give you a link over to the Lit Leaders sign up page on Splash, and you can kind of fill it out. And from there, what we'll do is send, you'll receive an email that's got the details on whatever the WebEx or Teams meeting that we're going to be using is. So I'm really excited about this one. Really hope to have a great turnout. This is a really impactful book. It's a challenging one, but excited to share it with everyone.
Awesome. Okay, I will go ahead and introduce our speakers. First up, we'll hear from Adam Mico, who is actually joining us from Madison, Wisconsin today. Adam is an analyst and automation specialist with the Wisconsin Department of Workforce. I'm sure he's really busy about right now. Adam is very active in the Tableau community and online, social media. He has a blog about Tableau, and his presentation is going to be focused on getting involved in the community, using Tableau Public, and how some of that has really shaped his career and had an impact on him. We're going to do a quick online trivia game through Kahoot, and I'll do a tips and tricks session on adding show hide buttons to dashboards to display containers, display and disappear. And then the second half of our meeting, we will hear from Divya and Charlie, who are local and with North Highland, and their presentation, they will be sharing a dashboard that they've put together that measures sales during a hurricane for a home improvement retailer. So we can go ahead and hand it over to Adam. And Adam, if you'd like, go ahead and share your screen. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Is everybody able to see the screen and hear me just fine? Excellent. So I was about to go to Atlanta, but unfortunately for this awful pandemic, we're back here in Madison, but I'm happy that we have a lot of people that could go ahead and watch this with me and enjoy my little journey, as I hope it inspires you to be part of the community. So my name is Adam Mico. As Karen indicated, I'm a senior data analyst and business automation analyst in the public sector, specifically Department of Workforce Development. I have to provide a disclaimer, of course, and indicate that my words come from me and not my employer. So so basically what I want to talk about to start with is why I started with the community in the first place. So I was reaching the end of my classification series in late May of 2019. And when I reached that pinnacle, I was lacking inspiration. I met what I needed to meet at work. And unfortunately, if I don't have a lot going on at work and I have no real goals to attain, it's like you're at the end of a crossroads and it's like, what am I going to do now? The great thing is when you have a technology company like Tableau, you could find a community, and we're going to get into that in a second. I'm a person on the autistic spectrum, so I really have to look and find a purpose for me to be really involved in all in that stuff. So as a result, I was seeking a pulse. So again, I wanted to be involved in something impactful. And then I was looking for things that were was Tableau related, because with Tableau, it was very instrumental in enhancing my career. And I wanted to see if there's a way that I can get somewhere to give back. So I was looking around for groups, Tableau forums, and all that stuff. And finally landed on a great group that I found here, Tableau Magicians. If you do look for groups like on Facebook or whatnot, you may run across a lot of spam. So this group was really inspiring for me because it was really dedicated into helping people out and make sure that they were being mentored appropriately, getting their questions answered, and provided good direction and tutorials. So that really inspired me to do more and be really a mainstay of that group. And Tuan Wong, a new Zen master, he pushed me to join a community. And that community was our online Twitter community. So when he brought that up to me, I'm like, he said something about a Datafam. I'm like, what's a data farm? I had no idea what was going on there. But it was interesting to me, even though I went on Twitter before and it wasn't really fun or exciting or anything like that. And it was just a lot of times when you're in communities, many communities, they could be kind of toxic really quick. So I gave it a chance because I'm like, Tableau and the people at work use Tableau, and what I've encountered with tugs and so forth, there's no toxicity I've seen. And then the more I've seen the content delivered by so many people in our community right away and how many resources there are, it was just an amazing thing to me. The other thing that made it so interesting to me was that there was no sense of hierarchy. Zen masters, ambassadors are right there. They'll help you more than anybody else looking to get a step up. They're there because they're helpful and they help you for free. And I always wanted to be a part of something like that because it provides impact. So this part is my attempt to define what a data fam is. So as I was learning more about it, I was just trying to figure out a way that I could put this to an acronym because it'll help me remember it more. So the D in data fam, I think of as people are dynamic enough to grow and progress and engage with everybody and with such a variety of backgrounds. The community has such a diverse field of talent, from all over the world. So many countries are involved, so many people from so many different backgrounds. It's really exciting to be part of something like that. And following that line, we're ambitious because the ambition of the community to make sure everybody has what they need and to support each other, and also to advance the tool is so mind-blowing to me, and it was exciting to me to witness that and be part of something like that, because I felt like I was on the ground floor of something that was spectacular, that was more than just a work fun thing. It was something that would impact me in my personal life. We're thankful because for many of us, it gave us an opportunity to do something that we always wanted to do. Before I went and worked as a data analyst, and before I went to Tableau, I was an adjudicator training unemployment law. That wasn't the funnest thing in the world for me, but it was something that was interesting for a while. But it wasn't really pushing me and challenging me in ways that I was kind of born to be challenged. And having the opportunity to start working with Tableau, it gave me an opportunity to showcase what I can do. And it gave so many other people an opportunity to see data in a completely new light and realize the importance of data and how impactful it is. We're all approachable because we understand where we came from. And the big part and help of the community is that everybody in that community is approachable, whoever the person is. Again, Zen masters are very approachable. Ambassadors are very approachable. It's not like that in many communities, and it's something that I admire quite a bit, that everybody in our community is very approachable. We're very focused because we want to make sure that we share projects that's going to be beneficial to everybody in our community. So there's a lot of concurrent projects going on, and you'll never be bored. But there's a focus there, and the focus is always improving your skills, or in Tableau, or getting more tools in your arsenal that you can work with along with Tableau. It's astounding because every day and every week that you jump on Tableau Public or go to Twitter, you see so many things that you haven't seen before as far as data visualization, how quickly people improve in short periods of time. It's so inspiring. And that's just amazing to me, because when you work in a company, and oftentimes you're working in a silo, you're generally doing a lot of the same things all the time. You make bar charts and crosstabs. But when you get to explore and look at all the tools that people are using and how far they could push this application, you just can't believe how far it can go. And so many people are inspired and create such things on a daily and weekly basis that just blows your mind away. And a big thing about the Datafam is that they're mindful. They take special care in making sure to include everybody, and looking to promote people that haven't had a lot of opportunity or outreach with the community. We're looking for people that we could help out and support, mentor, and so forth. And that's just another great thing that's so powerful to me, to be part of something like that, because we really feel that there's a difference being made from within, and having good people bring up people with good skill sets will help so many people in the long run, their employers, their community, and whatnot. So after a couple months, I was fortunate enough to have a lot of milestones, and it was shocking to me because when I went in the community, I didn't have any sort of following or anything. Fortunately, I was with Tableau magicians, but I didn't start with the Tableau community for some time, thinking nothing of it and just wanting to be around to help out. And that's the greatest thing that the community accepts, and they accept you if your intention is to help people out and not so much self-promotion and whatnot, because I didn't have anywhere to go in my career. I'm just looking to help people out. And fortunately, being able to help people out, I was shockingly nominated and one notable newbie at the Tableau conference in November of 2019. And mind you, I was only part of that community for a very short period of time. When I joined Twitter, it was around August 1st, and the Tableau conference was in November. So it was shocking to even be nominated in the first place, and having people really think that what you do is impactful and award you that at the Vizzy Awards at the Tableau conference. And another shocking bit was I'm a blogger as well, and I only blogged maybe a month and a half prior to that. It was one of the nominees for Best Blog, and that was just shocking to me too, because I was so in awe of so many of the blogs that are out there, because I've used a lot of those blogs for years. Of course, if you're a Zen master, you can't win, but just to have your name up there is just an amazing thing. So there are so many people up there that were just so impactful for me. Beneath those two bits of award information are a couple of the vizzes I was able to work on, and that gave me a lot of joy. And they were all due to collaboration. And that's what I want to highlight, is that the community is very collaborative. All the vizzes that I'm most proud of were collaborative efforts. The bottom left one was an Elvis viz that I created with Zach Bowders. And we worked on it together, went back and forth, so many ideas, and had a lot of fun with it. It didn't get Visit a Day, but it was showcased by Tableau for their data plus music. And it was sent all over social media. So it's kind of like a minor Visit a Day, but that wasn't big to me. It was just I was happy to share that accomplishment with Zach. The other one was a complicated visualization that I made with Brian Moore. He was awesome at math, and he had so many tricks as far as trigonometry were concerned. And Ryan Sandberg, growing up near Chicago, he was my favorite baseball player of all time. I had this idea for a viz, but with my skill set, I could do some stuff, but I can't do what he does. So when you collaborate, you lift each other up, and you could do something together that ultimately I was just so happy to be part of, and it made my dream viz a reality. And the other one was I started working on the data, the last one rather. I started working on the data with the Boston Tableau User Group. I had found data from the city of Boston that had crime information. I put it together. It was pretty good, but they had some great ideas for me, and they put it together in an outline and helped me wireframe it a little bit better, so it looks exactly what I made. Again, I can't do it on my own, and that's why it's so helpful to be part of a community that you can collaborate with. Some other things that I want to point out here is that our community, we're looking to promote others. It's not so much self-promotion, because when you self-promote, it's not something that looks good on you, and helping people come up within the community is something that's beneficial to everybody. So that's why I have the little Michael Scott win-win-win image right beneath, because these are three things that will help everybody win, including yourself. So I spent a lot of time on social media focusing on helping other people and promoting other people. If I have a platform, it's not because of what I do, it's because of so many people that get that see the great works I promote, and not so much of what I do. And that makes me happy to be part of something like that, my platform isn't based on me being me, it's based on me helping other people, and that's the benefit of it for me. Another thing that we need to really focus on is offering support. So when people ask for help, and a lot of people ask for help in the community, in forums, in Facebook or LinkedIn groups, you're looking to provide support where you can. If you could steer somebody in the right direction, whether it be feedback for a viz, whether it be or to help collaborate with somebody, or even mentor somebody, it's something that will really help you out and feel better about what you can do. If you aren't in a position to be a mentor or offer feedback or whatnot, you could participate in that, because there are so many in the community that's very willing to help you out, especially at this time, because a lot of people are not having the impact that they are able to have with jobs and so forth. So, and they'll have a little bit less to do. So some people will have more time to help people out. And even if there isn't a lot of time to help people out, people bend over backwards to help you. And that's the great thing about the community. It's a complete community. It's not one person. There's so many people there that offer support. And that's what makes this community shine and blossom. Another thing you could do is join many helpful projects. There's so many projects out there. you could spend all day and night participating and being part of projects, whether it be mentorship, whether it be being part of a Facebook, LinkedIn group, having a YouTube series, whether it be writing a blog, creating data visualizations, participating in data visualization projects. There are so many things out there that you could work on and be inspired by, and you'll never get bored, especially if you love data visualization and having a unique data community to work along with you. For many years prior to Tableau, I worked in Excel. There's absolutely no data community that's part of Excel, except you can watch a couple YouTube videos, do some Google searches, but there's no community out there, people you could talk to, people that you greatly admire, that's just part of the community and willing to help you out. People I looked up to for 4 or 5 years, right away, they were willing to help me out on questions I had or whatnot, and provide feedback when, if you are willing to accept feedback. And regardless of where you are in your career, you're always going to need feedback, and everybody's around to help you out. So what I had helped create with Sagar Kapoor and BizConnect is the Tableau Learning Path. And this is a free tool that will allow you to explore the Tableau journeys. There's so many things on here for free that and will help you out, including the Tableau e-learning for free for 90 days. If you haven't heard about that, Tableau has offered a free learning experience for 90 days, so you could learn so many things about developing servers and everything like that that you need to learn for free. As prior you had to pay money for it, but they're offering it for free, fortunately, for those of so many people that are off of work right now, and they're very helpful with this the issues that we're having with the pandemic. And this viz will be linked to any of the material that's provided in association with this Atlanta user group meeting. So feel free to access it via the link on this PowerPoint. Getting started with Tableau is a great tool. It just gives you the great training that Tableau provides for free, video training, and it's a lot of fun. There's a Tableau blueprint that provides a blueprint for people getting involved with Tableau. Access Tableau free video training series. Again, that's another training series that will help you out as you start off using Tableau. So you don't need to go and pay for stuff. The best resources are free in most cases for Tableau if you're trying to learn the tool or learning special tips and tricks that you wouldn't be able to figure out on your own. There's other resources like learning how to create your first data visualization, learn how to prep your data faster, because oftentimes it's missed. The prep work that the Tableau prep application that really helps a lot of people out get data prepared for making visualizations. It's a great tool and it's helpful to learn how to use it. There's underneath that is what's new in Tableau. So it just gives you up-to-date information on what's going on and the new updates in Tableau. What we have with coming soon, so new features you can look forward to and prepare yourself for. Tableau pre-release program, so some helpful things there. Search for a help article. Learn about best practices, because that's very important. Oftentimes when you work in silos, your managers may tell you, make it look like Excel. Oftentimes it's not going to help them understand and learn what they need to learn as far as appreciating what data viz can do for them. So if you can work with them and help work on best practices with them so they can get more benefit from their data and wean them off the Excel train, that's a great thing you could do for your managers to be able to understand data better and for you to understand how to work with and approach your data. On the right-hand side are Tableau tips and tricks. So there's a bunch of Tableau community projects that are linked from here. 7 tips and tricks from Tableau from dashboard experts. Building dashboards that inform and inspire. These are just great things that will help you out to advance your own career. Tableau related blog megalist. So there's a lot of people that love Tableau so much, like me, that I blog about it. But there's hundreds of people that do that with various focuses, from how-to interviewing people and so many things in between. And that's a great resource if you want to look for inspiration and a lot of how-to broken down very nicely for you. And oftentimes it's with workbooks that are attached. Chart catalog. So there's a visualization by Kevin Flurledge, who compiled a list of, I believe it was about 76 to 100 charts put together. So pretty much every chart that you can imagine in them, and some. It links, there's a visualization that links to one workbook. And then Tableau Book of Calculations. That's an awesome resource for you to go ahead and put together, look at calculations that you need for business use, because a lot of times it's not off the top of your head, and if you have to look around for stuff, it's not so helpful. So there's a great visualization that helps you just go through a bunch of calculations that you'll need for business purposes. And underneath that, and sort of aligned with that, is a great workbook of table calcs, LODs, and actions. So that will help you create great visualizations for you during that time. Underneath that is the final part, are videos. So this is associated with BizConnect, which is a group that releases YouTube videos promoted by bloggers and so forth, and Zen masters and so forth. They provide a lot of information through their experiences to help people out, and it's a huge and fun series on that. Tableau is so kind to put together the Tableau conference videos from so many presenters, 2019 and 2018. So you have a direct link to those. Zen masters, so who to follow, and these are the people that do best as far as providing information and input into the community and drive Tableau in every way imaginable. Viz Gallery is a great place to get inspiration, and that's basically the viz of the day. Data sets to build data visualizations. So there's a ton of data sets out there, and this links you to some of those that you can get started with. Ways to join the Tableau community and so forth. So this is a great resource for you to access if you're just getting started with Tableau or want to share it with people in your workspace to help them understand and start working with Tableau. I know, in animation. So this is my contact information. Do we have any questions? I saw there was a Slack space question that was answered.
I was able to answer that one, but it looks like we've had a few questions just about getting a link to this PowerPoint, so we'll make sure we share that with everybody. Does anyone have any additional questions? Okay, maybe not. This was great, Adam. I really appreciate it. That's such a great resource to share, just to kind of click through all those links. Thank you so much.
It's important because there are just so many people that need to have something in one space to access a bunch of information, because there's so much information out there.
Absolutely. Your presentation, thank you again. I'll go ahead and switch gears.
Yeah, so Adam, this is Nelson. Definitely want to thank you for sharing what you shared with us. And as Karen said, it's one of the great things that we all love about the Tableau community is, and you put such great words around it, but how sharing everybody is and how supportive everyone is. And I love these resources that you've put together for us. We really look forward to being able to share that back out to this group and this community so that we can take advantage of all the great work you've done. So thank you so much. And then with that, I want to turn it over to my favorite co-host, Ms. Karen Henson. She's going to walk us through some rapid tips and tricks. And Karen's got some really, really cool stuff around collapsible containers. And, the quick thing I'll say ahead of Karen showing us all this stuff is I love, love, love all the user interactivity and user experience enhancements that Tableau has been putting into the dashboard functionality in the last, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 releases. And this is one of those things that is a game changer. And every time I put it into a dashboard, the client that I'm working with loves it because it allows for the canvas to be used for multiple purposes. And so if you haven't used these before, I definitely would encourage you to really check this out and to dig in and let Karen take it away for us. Karen, pumped about this one.
Okay, you can hear me, right? Thumbs up?
You're
Okay.
good.
All right, awesome. Okay, so I have a tutorial to kind of share with you guys just some quick tips and tricks, maybe about 10 minutes, how you can do this in a dashboard. And everything is published on Tableau Public, so I'll have a link at the end. And if you want to walk through it in more detail, just know that everything's available. You can download all of this. So if it seems like I'm going through it kind of fast, it's just for the sake of time, but it is all available and available for you to download. But this is a look at the dashboard that I built, and you can see I'm connected. You know what? Before I show you guys the dashboard, actually, I'm sorry to jump around like this with examples because I realize that not everyone even knows what these are. So as Nelson said, it's been out for a little while, this feature. I want to say 2019.2, that release allowed for you to add show hide buttons that would pop containers out and then have them disappear. But if you've never used this before, it does seem like it's kind of like flown under the radar. Let me show you what it does, or like a few examples. So you're looking at a dashboard here with some coffee data by region. This is a pretty cool dashboard, and you can see over here this filter icon. So when I click this container pops out and the filter is displayed. But just think of if that wasn't there, there'd be, a giant row of filters across the top of this dashboard or down the side, and having this container that expands and contracts like that really saves a lot of valuable resource. And I thought that was a pretty cool example. Another example, this is a dashboard from Kelly Gilbert, who is an ATUG member and works with me at Chick-fil-A. So this is her Peachtree Road Race dashboard, and she is using these containers to display additional information. So I can click on those eyes and a container will pop out. There you go. And additional information is displayed. And then clicking it again should hide the container. So Adam, I believe, mentioned Tableau Zen Master Kevin Florlodge in his presentation. This is another dashboard that he has on his Tableau public page. But if you want any inspiration or ideas of like, how could you use this practically? What could you use this for? Here's some ideas. Just navigate out to Kevin's profile. He also has a really good blog post on this topic, so feel free to just click that link embedded within his dashboard. But okay, now I'm going to come back here. So, okay, back to my dashboard. So I built this Superstore dashboard, and this is an example of how to use the show hide containers. And in this dashboard, I'm just looking at 3 measures, and the goal, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm looking at sales year over year, orders, and profit margin. And so you can see this dark color is 2019 and the lighter color is 2018. So I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times I will get requirements or feel like I kind of have an idea of what a stakeholder wants in a dashboard, and I'll go down one path and think I have a really good draft, really good prototype, and then only to get questions about like, well, it would be great to see, in addition to like the years, perhaps like every month for 2019 versus those months in 2018. So that a lot of times leads to multiple tabs and workbooks with just a bunch of different views. And sometimes I just wonder, do people really click through every single one of these views and go look at all this, or do they just kind of come to the very first one? So in an effort for this dashboard to just keep things together and clean, I thought it would be really cool to use this feature to expand each of these measures. So see more about sales, if I click on that button, it just like looks as though it expands and blows out sales. Now I've got a little view and I can see every month 2019 versus 2018, and same thing for orders and for profits. So just to show, kind of walk through how to do this, it's actually really easy, surprisingly simple, and a really cool way to keep things clean. So just starting out with that dashboard, having everything at like a high level. I also built 3 different worksheets. So within the workbook, there are views with these like area graphs for sales, orders, and profits. And those are all shown on this story point together, but in reality, there are 3 separate worksheets in my workbook. So the next step would really be to drop in a container. I could use a horizontal or vertical container, and just make it floating and put it on the dashboard. Now I've highlighted here, like added a border just so you can see, here's the container. You can kind of see those like words right here. So I've added in a container. That would be my next step. You can also tell that like I've adjusted and manipulated the X and Y coordinates and the height and width of that thing to cover up the whole dashboard, because my specific goal was, hey, it'd be cool to have those show hide buttons so that when those are clicked, it looks as though each of the measures take over all of this space. So I want to show just a little quick tip here. Renaming containers when you add is actually just really easy. I've found it to be a good practice just to keep things simple and organized. If you don't have them named, then they'll just show up as like horizontal or vertical. But if you wind up with several containers, it can just get confusing. So I found it helps as far as like organization to just click, name them, and you can name them, you know, whatever, sales container. And then you kind of know what you're looking at. So just a quick tip. The next step, once you've added that container, as for me, for instance, I dropped in the year-to-date sales tab. I'll make this a little bigger. And I chose to change the background within that container so that the worksheet would show up green, so that it really would look, when I expanded sales, like that color, that whole sales, that area filled up with the sales measure. And then finally, to get that button, it's actually just really simple. If you select a container, you'll notice when it's selected up in the top right hand corner, there's a triangle that's facing downwards. And when you click on that triangle, you get a menu like this. And clicking Add Show Hide button is what adds a button like this to your dashboard. But just to show you like an example and kind of walk through how to do that, here's my container. It's that simple. Then you get that button. Now you'll notice like it just drops in somewhere random, but you can move it wherever. And in addition, you can come over like your X and Y. So I personally did that so that they would all line up like at the same height and be kind of level. And I made them the same width and height as well. But in addition, I just want to highlight, you can also edit these buttons. and they're really customizable. Change the image. You can add a border, a background color. You can change the tooltip text that over those. And you can even change like what image is shown when you like have that container displayed versus there can be different button or different text when it's hidden. So I really hope that was helpful. That this is something that everybody can use perhaps at work or just in whatever project. And if you'd like to, feel free to download these workbooks or just look through them further. If you want to kind of look through them at your own pace, you'll find them out on my Tableau Public, and I made sure to set them to where everyone can download them. And before we move on, does anybody have any questions?
Hey, Karen, we got a good number of questions in the Q&A. The first question here was, do you remember which version of Tableau this became a feature? The question was
2019.2.
What was it? 2019.2?
2019.2.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know, right, guys? Because like nobody even, it's like I said, it's kind of under the radar. No one knows this is out there. And it really seems like, Nelson said the same thing. Nobody really uses it, but it's really useful and helpful. And it's one of those things that I bet a lot of people didn't even notice that is like even an option.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, that's perfect. I think you covered everything. There have been a couple questions about getting into the Slack group. We'll make sure that that gets opened back up, and we'll get that going for everybody. So, any other questions from the group? Feel free to. I don't know if you can unmute yourself and ask a question, but any other questions? Oh, another question was, is this on your Tableau public profile? I think the answer to that is yes, but
Yes, it is. You
awesome.
can find
Yes, there you go, Katie.
yeah, just Karen Dot
Cool stuff that Karen does.
Not really. That's just for my kids, some random stuff. That's our ATUG dashboard. But yeah, like just go out there. You guys download it, and like I said, it's really simple. So hopefully this helps everybody like add it to your dashboards at work, and it impresses people.
Jason encouraged the fact that your South Carolina, University of South Carolina heritage has not stopped your Tableau amazing game.
On here.
We'll let that one slide, Jason.
Okay, go Gamecocks. Now
Gamecocks.
maybe we should go to Kahoot.
Poor Jason went to UGA. And then Michael's got one more question. How do I make a container that is clickable with an eye symbol? Karen, you want to take that one? If you want to change that icon, how would you do that?
Oh, yeah, it's really simple. If you, can I still show my screen?
You can.
Hang on. No, I don't know if I can. You know what? Don't worry about it, Anna. Keep going. I'll just tell you. But when you add the show hide button, if you click on the button, you'll notice a drop down, and you can edit button. Just select edit button, and that's where you can change it to a different image, or even like instead of showing an image, if you wanted it to have certain text, you could do that too. But you can you'd have to go download an image, but you can probably get one from anywhere or just make one in PowerPoint with the icons. So good question.
Yeah, it's a great one. And then the one small thing I would add is you want to make sure that it's a transparent PNG instead of having kind of a white block around it or whatever color. If you can, to make that really blend into your dashboard naturally. Awesome. It's a shape, indeed, yes. Awesome. Okay, I think that wraps us up. If you have more questions, go ahead and submit those, and Karen will check out the Q&A, and so appreciate that. And we are excited to bring back for the third iteration Miss Anna Foard and our Kahoot game. Anna, why don't you tell us about the rules? We're excited to see you.
Do y'all hear me okay?
You got it.
Awesome. Okay. You got the music too?
Yeah, we got a little bit.
All right, I can turn it up if I didn't want it too loud. So here's the deal. You need to go to your browser or just put your Kahoot app, because I know a lot of you downloaded the app because you're so excited about this. You're going to go to kahoot.it or go to the app, put in this game pin. You're going to have to put in your name. Please be appropriate. We're all adults here. And I do, as we're adding these, I have a little hint here. So Nathan is usually here to help me co-host, and he's way more fun than me. So I decided this time to add in a little bit of my math questions. Now, it's not really that mathy because Tableau does a lot of the math for you. But because I used to be a math teacher, I had to add, somebody's appropriate, I like that. I had to add in some questions about the Tableau's order of operations, because again, order of operations in math is so essential. So that's a hint on some of the questions. We also see some questions that have to do with the state or in the city in which we live, and also maybe some of the some information about where Adam Mico is from. Adam, we appreciated your input. Actually, I can't wait to get a hold of your slide deck. And then I meant to say, Karen, I'm also excited to download your workbook. So, all right, we're still, I'm gonna still wait a little bit longer to get you guys in here. We'll like dance a little. So there's only 8 questions. We're gonna do this pretty quickly. So you gotta warm your fingers up. Got a lot of folks. This is going to be fun. Nelson, do we have any prizes for winners today?
Such a good question, Anna. Even if we don't have them already, we will invent some out of thin air and
all right, cool.
give them to our winning contestants.
I have spray hand sanitizer that I could give away.
Oh, that could be a winner. We just got our big box of Charmin toilet paper from Amazon. So maybe
get a
couple rolls out there, maybe 3 rolls.
That's awesome.
I also have a vintage, hold on, vintage Tableau 7 notebook from a release party that I went to like 8 or 9 years ago. So I'm not giving this away. I just wanted to say that.
I have stress vitamins. There's one left. All right, I'm gonna give y'all about 30 more seconds and we're gonna get going. Actually, it looks like we're ready to go. I didn't see any more. Oh, there's an addition. All right, so when I start the game, you're gonna see your phone or your computer, however you logged in, turn into your controller, basically. You're gonna answer as fast as you can based on, well, it's gotta be the right answer. So you get the more points, the faster you can answer and it being the correct answer. So it's a little bit of a trick. There's 10 seconds to answer for each question. All right, we're gonna get going here, okay? All right. We're going to start with Tableau questions. Of the following, which action is applied first in the Tableau's order of operations? Of these, which one is first? Quick. Told you, that's really, really quick. Awesome. All right, so yeah, you gotta make a dimension filter into a context filter if you need that dimension filter to act before your LOD calculation. So, a little trick there. All right, look at that, Cliff, good job. All right, ready for the next Tableau question. Which action of these is last in the order of operations? It's tricky. Nice, well done. Yeah, I tried to make this one a little more obvious because it's the table calculations. All right, good job. Wow, we have a new leader. What was Atlanta's original name? You're from Atlanta. It was actually Marthasville. Terminus was just a nickname. New information for a lot of folks. Nice. All right. Atlanta is home to which world's largest drive-in restaurant? The world's largest drive-in restaurant? Very good. It's the Varsity. It's not the Pink Pony. Right? Look at that. New leaders. This is the games can be anybody's right now. True, false. Peach trees are native to Atlanta. The actual trees. Are they native? Well done. Peach trees are not native to Atlanta. We have a lot of streets that make you think otherwise. All right, looking good. Antoine's looking like, let's see if anyone can catch up. Looking like a winner here. Who was named the 2016 fittest city in America? A nod to Adam's town there. Good job. It was Madison, Wisconsin, not Atlanta, Georgia. All right, looking good. Okay. We might have a winner already, but Matthew, Kelly, you might be able to catch up here. Madison is home to the, which one is it? Ooh, I tricked you guys. I don't think there is a Dairy Farmers Almanac. I made that up. Good job. Nice. Antoine's taking the lead. We got one more question. In Tableau, back to Tableau. What is a blue pill? Blue pill indicates what kind of field? Ooh, this one's a tricky one. It actually means it's discrete. Most people think it's dimension. It is actually discrete. So when you work with dates, you see this when they switch. All right. Well, I am going to stop sharing my screen now. Oh, actually, we got to see who's the winner. All right, Ian's third. Keith Leslie, nice. Anne. Antoine. Well done. Nelson's going to decide what you win. Actually, I can help with that. Nelson.
Well, somebody just asked for a big bag of bragging rights.
I love
really
it.
awesome.
Those were hard Tableau questions. I'm really
They were hard, Anna.
Well done.
They were awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anna. As always, you are quite the halftime show.
All right. Gonna silence myself now.
Awesome. Karen, I think you are going to intro our next set of folks. Or I can't remember who's doing the intro. Sorry.
Actually, I'm so sorry. I was thinking we had already kind of walked through their intros. So for the sake of time, I'll just hand it over to you guys. But this is Charlie and Divya. I believe Charlie's gonna, or Divya's gonna kind of intro them both, but Charlie's gonna start up the presentation. But this is the group from North Highland. Thank you guys so much for presenting.
Yeah. Hey everyone, this is Vibha, and we are from North Highland, a mid-sized management consulting firm based out of Atlanta. We are very happy to be here at ATUG and present one of the great work that we have done around demand prediction for a retail client, especially during a weather emergency. So I would like to introduce two of our presenters. First, Charlie Morn. Charlie has about 11 years of experience in the DNA space, and most of that time he spent in energy and utilities industries. His expertise includes machine learning, advanced analytics, data visualization, and both traditional and big data engineering. Our second presenter is Divya. Divya is a senior data analyst from North Island, and she has 10 years of experience in the data warehouse and BI domain, and she is a Tableau expert in-house. She does have some background with Cognos, Crystal Reports, and additional traditional data and modern data platforms. So I would like to hand it over to Charlie to kick off the presentation.
Thanks, Viva. And is everybody seeing my screen all right? Are you able to see it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So thank you for the introduction, Viva. I want to walk through a as
Charlie, real quick, actually, I think you're sharing and you've got two screens. We're actually seeing your second screen that has your presenter view.
Okay,
If you could
let
maybe
me
swap over to the other monitor that you've got would probably be best.
there we go. That better?
That is a winner, my friend. There you go.
All right. So as Viva mentioned, we are presenting on some work that we did a little bit ago for a client of ours, a large home improvement retailer. When a natural disaster occurs, they have to spin up an emergency response group. And really what we're trying to help them understand is where is demand going to occur and what does that demand actually look like so that they can get the right product to the right places at the right time. From a very practical perspective, weather emergencies are incredibly expensive. In 2016, we saw $153 billion worth of damage worldwide due to natural disasters. And the impact that occurs is not just on the stores, but obviously on people, people trying to live their lives. As a disaster is coming towards you, you may say, boy, do I have a lantern and do I have batteries that I need for it? After it happens, you may need a dehumidifier or you may need new carpeting, shingles, lumber, all sorts of different things. The challenge comes in demand spiking very quickly in response to that natural disaster and a potential risk of store shelves being empty. So how do you avoid that problem? The opportunity on the left is if we can respond quickly, if we can identify a demand before it actually gets there, we might be able to get product to where it needs to be. And this can drive three key things. One, increased revenue from the sales. Two, increased loyalty because you have the product that people need. And three, it's just a good community service to be able to improve the lives of people who are impacted by these major natural events. In this specific case, we're going to be talking through a hurricane example, but it could easily be applied to a lot of different settings, tornadoes, or even non-natural disasters, and we'll talk about that more a little bit later. So the challenge that we see here is the real-world constraints. The inventory that you have available to ship to a store may be limited, or it may be targeted for other things. You may not be able to send all of the ladders in your distribution center because you know you need some of them for another problem. There may be huge logistics costs, especially as a storm is bearing down in terms of overtime in the distribution center, the truck drivers that have to get the product to the store. So making sure that you get the right product to the right place minimizes those logistics costs. There's a small window of opportunity when you can act. A hurricane moves in quickly and causes a lot of devastation in a very small window of time. How do you get the product there either before the storm happens or immediately afterwards so that people can come to the store and get what they need? And then how do you know what's going to be needed? Two examples from 2017 when we first kicked off this project were Hurricane Harvey, which dumped 30 plus inches of rain a day over Houston, versus Hurricane Irma, which was a very fast-moving high wind storm. The impacts that they had on the areas where they hit were very different, and the product needs that they had were very different between the two areas. And lastly, how do you figure out how much product to send to a place? How much demand is going to be created so that you don't end up with extra product in one place where it could have been used in another? The opportunity is real. We've seen retailers that had hundreds of millions of dollars of hurricane-related sales in past years. And the challenge is, if you're sending 10,000, 11,000 trucks worth of product, how do you do that efficiently? We've also seen retailers, even though they're selling a huge amount of product, actually taking net losses on those sales because the transportation costs are so high. Let's talk about the specific issue here. In a natural disaster, the demand typically spikes incredibly quickly. Your baseline of around 0% or around 100% of normal is what you tend to expect. And then very quickly, the demand will peak up right after the event. There's a brief window beforehand where you may see what's called pre-strike sales. People may go out and buy a generator in advance of a storm. But by and large, most people are going to not buy something major until they need it. So after the storm has already hit. With a traditional replenishment system, which is what we're seeing on this red line here, and apologies that these graphs are not made in Tableau, but that was just for the presentation. The traditional replenishment system lags the actual demand that we see. And this results in two issues with our stock on hand. So this yellow line shows the available stock on hand in terms of days remaining. The first thing is that lag results in a complete stock out. You run out of material that you need, and you are unable to meet customers' needs when they come to your store and try to buy things. That's frustrating for them. They have to go to another store. And then the second issue that we have is that the lag results in you ending up with a significant amount of on-hand stock that you wouldn't normally have in your store after the demand has already decreased. So people have already figured out, I don't need a generator, my power's come back on, and now you've got 50 days worth of on-hand stock of generators that may actually be much longer than that. So in order to predict this, we built a machine learning model in Google Cloud Platform. And I'm not going to go into the details of that because we really want to show the Tableau side of this. But just for a little bit of overview, we brought in a whole bunch of features. So anything from biographic information, so what does the tree cover look like in the area, demographic information, how many people live in an area, how affluent is the area. That will all impact what types of demand you see from these stores. Then pair that up with 10 years of historical sales information and feed it into TensorFlow and Keras models that get trained and output into a big, wide data set that we can look at using Tableau. None of this matters if it doesn't work, right? And the key here is that our predictions ended up being highly accurate in the categories that we were looking at. We captured 88% of the actual demand within $150 of category sales. So what that means from a practical perspective is that on average, over the course of a day, would only be off by plus or minus $150 in product that we recommended we ship to them versus what they actually saw in demand in stores. This then has to get integrated into a process. So this first step, this gross sales prediction, is the only talked about here. But how do you go from predicting a sale to understanding which SKUs to select, to looking at what's already in the store so we don't ship things that they don't need? Maybe there are already in-flight purchase orders, so they may already have a pallet of generators away. The distribution center may not have inventory, so if it doesn't have inventory, we have to look other places. And then we have to fill out a truck. So we round the predictions to a number of pallets that we're going to ship, and then that is our new net SKU sales predictions that we're going to actually be visualizing. All of this can happen in an automated fashion. We integrate with the business, and we have a human in the loop perspective. So the merchants and the field teams have to look at the recommendations that we produce. And the only way that they can do that is by looking at the data. That's where Tableau comes into play. They can take a look at the predicted information. So we think a storm is going to have this big of an impact. Do you think that these predictions make sense? If so, they can modify or cut the purchase orders that then leads to packing and shipping the trucks and actually sending them out. So we're going to show two dashboards today that we created during the course of this presentation. The first is the demand prediction. So looking at the storm and what we expect to see in terms of damage. This lets people then click through to their stores and see what do they think I'm going to need, and do I need to modify the purchase orders. There's then that kind of in the middle step where they do the cutting of the purchase orders, the shipments get packed onto trucks, the trucks start rolling, and the next step after that is to track the in-flight activity. So I'm at a store, I have people coming and asking, are you going to have more ladders or generators? Before this project, it was very difficult for them to get insight into those shipments. This gave them the ability to look at what's actually in flight and see what's coming. So with that context, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Divya for the next part of the presentation, the actual practical demo.
Can you give me the ball, Charlie?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll share the screen now. Let me know if you can see the screen.
Coming through great.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Charlie. Thanks for giving a brief intro to the dashboard. So we have this dashboard to get the sense of how do you look at the weather data and understand what's happening on the ground at each store. How do you turn your weather data?
We don't see the dashboard. Can you reshare it again?
Okay. Can you see it now?
Now we can see it.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
So using the data set, we have built this dashboard to get the sense of how do you look at weather data and understand what's happening at the ground at each store. How do you turn your weather data into predictions? How should you consume as a user? How do you convert these to orders, and how do you track it? So most of these numbers are made up and they don't tie up for client confidentiality purpose. But this dashboard is for event Hurricane Irma. So on the dashboard here, map weather data is aggregated at store level and stores listed on the map. And we have a list of weather metrics like current precipitation, cumulative precipitation, wind gust, temperature, humidity, soil moisture, and other metrics. So using all these weather metrics, we can understand what's happening on the ground at each store. So we have a day and time filter. So we can either pick a day or I can play here and see what's happening on the ground. So here we can see that 0 is like I picked cloud cover percent, and green being 0% and red being 100%, and we can see how it's moving up the coast. So with this, we need to consider potential demand spike because of these events. If I'm a region manager or a store manager, and if I want to filter out and understand what are the predictions at my store or my region, we can use this filter region and store and filter out to a particular store or region. And on the right here, we have highlighted some important information like stores affected, orders needed, pallets needed, and this is all aggregated for all the stores. But if I want to know for a particular store and products that are affected for that store, for example, I'll pick a store, store 9, and you can see that all the sheets on the right are that store, and see that baseline sales we expected at an event is 70K. And with this prediction demand, we think we can expect there would be 368K worth of sales. And on hand inventory, we have 72K worth, and on route, we have 9K. So therefore, we need to order 253K worth of products. This is cumulative of all the products for all the classes and all the items. But if a manager, they want to know what are the items they need to order, they can use this sheet where they have all the products listed out, and we have a list of metrics. I can pick any metric and see that for all the metrics we have information, and when we hover over that bar, we can see the detailed information, like what are the pallets needed and what's the pallet each quantity, retail dollars needed, what's the price of each retail dollar, and what's the quantity number. So that's how we can see this information. And we also have based on prediction confidence, we have plus or minus pallets. Like if I'm a consumer and if I'm conservative, I'll add a pallet or remove a pallet and then do the orders. So, and if you want to know information just for one item, then I can click on this and we see that the information on the top is filtered out to that SKU. So in this whole process, I'm not going deep into the ordering process for confidentiality purpose, but ultimately we need to turn this into how many orders are needed and place on the order form. And once they are executed on their system, and once they ship, we need to ship it. Like after they are shipped, we need to track it. So for that, we have created a separate dashboard that is shipment tracker. So before going to that, so I have an information button here. So when you hover over that, it actually shows what's the event name and demand prediction date range. So for the store we have selected, the demand prediction was from 9/10 to 9/17. And for example, if we pick any other store here, the dates over here will change. So that's how we can use this additional information over here. And now I'll move to the next dashboard, is shipment tracker. So once the orders are placed, we want to track those orders, right? So here is the dashboard, weather response shipment tracker. So utilizing all the orders placed up until they were delivered. So this dashboard can be used by merchandising organization units or by store to understand what's on its way. So if I'm a store manager or a region manager who belong to South Florida or Southeast or Southwest, so I can click on that particular region and see that the whole dashboard is filtered out to that region. And we also have list of stores, so they can pick the store which they belong to. For now, I'll select all the regions over here, and right here we see PO created by date. So we have list of all POs by date. And if I want to understand what's happening or what POs were created on 5/9, so I click on that. We see that there are POs and they were shipped to these like 477 to DC stores and 458 were shipped to vendor stores. If we want to know detailed information or like what are the subclasses and what are the status for each subclass, then we can use this sheet where we can either go down this sheet and see like by subclass, or we can just enter a subclass and see how it's filtered out to that subclass. And on this, we have all different status like new orders, pending pickups, in transit, and so on. And when we hover over each subclass, we can see what's the retail value for that subclass and what's the quantity and count of POs. So down when we come to this, and if you want to know SKU details by store, we can see this sheet. And if we pick any store on the map, like here, we see that a sheet is popped up. And we have detailed information as in by what are the store numbers, PO store, what's the store name, PO stores, PO status, delivery ETA, carrier, shipment, SKU description, and what are the retail value of all those SKU descriptions and order quantity. So when we go down here, we see that all other information like in transit, delivery ETA, all this information, additional information here. And we can either sort by retail value or order quantity. So that's how we can use all this information to track and see what's on its way for any store or any region.
And just to add a little bit of color there, I think the real value of this for a store manager is before they have to go into 3 or 4 different systems to see this type of information. And so now they can go to one place to say, okay, what orders do I have coming? When are they going to be here? When do I need to, have more people here to help stock back up the store? When can I kind of give people an indication that I may have some product back in the store? So all of these are questions that are necessary to answer during an emergency response event.
Yeah. Thanks, Sally. So now I want to go in details on what are the features that I have used on this dashboard. So here we can see when I click on a store or when I click on set of stores, we see some animation is going on here. So that's the animation feature. That was the inbuilt feature of Tableau. So I'll show you how to use it or how to do that. So here, when we go into format and click animation, we see that there's on-off button, on-off option here. So by default, it will be off. And when we click on, we see the duration on how should it flow, like fast, medium, slow, or very slow. I picked slow, which is 1 second. And we have style like simultaneous or sequential. So if we click on sequential and click any of the store here and see that the actions are like this, the animations are happening one after the other. So that's sequential. So by default, I use simultaneous so that everything happens at a time. And we also have options on which sheet to have this animation apply and which and not. So we can select this sheet and click on off button. So that way we can select on particular sheets. So it's the same option like duration and style. So this is how I used animation. So this feature is introduced in version 2020, I guess. Yes. And the other features which I've used is the container hide and show. Like when I click on this, I used containers and action filters to show this this sheet and hide it. And also the other feature I've used is the sort option. Like the new in 2019 or before, I think they introduced nested sorting. So when we go into the sort option, we see before it was either by sort by data source, order, or alphabetic, or field, or manual. But now they have this nested option, and we can when we click this, we can do multiple sortings either by retail value or by order quantity. So that's how I used this feature. And the other one which I want to show is this like when I click on this button, the navigation button, it goes from one dashboard to the other dashboard. So the purpose of this one is like a lot of our clients, they want to like traditionally when we publish the dashboard, we see the on server, we see tabs for different dashboards. And we used to do workarounds on how to move from one dashboard to the other dashboard by adding a sheet and all of that. This navigation button, it made our life so much easier that we don't have to publish like on tabs. So it's so much easier there. And the other one is animation. So before this this page filter, which I used here, it was there right from the first version, I guess, but it was not available on the server or public. So now that it's available on server and public, why not to use it? So that's how I used all these features. But I want to show how it looks without having tabs and navigating from one dashboard to another dashboard on server. So this is our North Highland online, or top Tableau online. So we can see that there are no tabs. So which is so cool. So we can embed this dashboard onto the web. And we don't have to see the tabs anymore. So we can go from one dashboard to the other dashboard here. And the other thing which we did was, so in our, lot of our retail stores, the managers and the store managers, they are on ground, and they don't sit on in front of desktop or laptop. They carry their phones and tablets. And now once they want to see the tracking or what's happening and what's the predictions, they can easily see, use this phone, or like we created this tablet and phone option. So this is how it looks when they open the dashboard on tablet. So they can do all the functions and features what they did sitting on the desktop. And this is how, so we remove the additional detailed information to make the phone option, so that they can see the high level information, like click on the map and see what are the important metrics and what's the high level orders needed, like that. And they can click any date, or all other filters are available same as the desktop. In the same way, we have also made the tablet and phone for device actions for the other dashboard as well. This is for tablet, the shipment tracker dashboard on tablet, and this is on phone. So here we don't need map, but we can just select the store manager or region manager. They can select their region and store and see what are the POs, and they can click on subclass if it's not clear by all the subclass. They can select a subclass and see what's happening on just by using their phones. So with this, I conclude my presentation, and I'll hand it over to Charlie.
Yeah, so thank you, Divya. Really appreciate it. I mean, all of the functionality that we showed here is specific to hurricanes, but emergency response in general is something that requires preparation. We say emergency response is one in the off season, and it doesn't just apply to hurricanes. If you're not prepared for major disruptions in your supply chain or major disruptions in demand, then there's no way when it actually happens you can respond in a way that is, supportive of your needs and supportive of your customers' needs. So we strongly, encourage folks to look at their business and say, COVID is a great example of huge disruption in the market as well as supply chain, where people just aren't buying product. And how do you understand the impact that that's going to have on your business, your staffing levels, your ability to get things where they need to be? And I think this kind of just reinforces that it's important to be prepared, to have dry runs, and to have an effective emergency response group inside your organization that really is dedicated to responding to these things. So thank you all so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And I think we're opening up for questions.
Yes, that was awesome. Thank you guys so much, Charlie and Divya. That was really great. We have a few questions. I'm trying to click through and find them. So Nelson or Jen, if you see any, please feel free to jump in. But one of them was about connecting to the TensorFlow Keras to your Tableau. How often does it refresh? Can you share a little more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we ran this all in BigQuery, and so CloudML output the results into BigQuery, and that connection in our process was kicked off via command line. So we would run all of our models on command line, and the very last thing that we would do is issue a tab command to go and refresh the extract that we're using. From a practical perspective, you can do that. You can just directly query BigQuery, which is the Google Cloud Platform data warehouse. Or you could use a RESTful hook to go out and actually trigger the refresh on a server. So any one of those would work really well for us.
All right. There's another question. What were the models used for deep learning?
Yeah, so the models in this case were deep neural networks. So we passed in thousands of different features along with 10 years worth of that data, the training data. And we tried a bunch of different things. So we tried basic statistical modeling tools like ARIMA for time series analysis, and we tried even more complex neural networks like recurrent neural networks that are typically used in time series data. What we ended up figuring out is that our demand deep neural network that was broken into 3 categories. One is what's called pre-strike. That's before the event happens. That's typically people going out and buying batteries and whatnot. The immediate post-event, which is when people need things like tarps, dehumidifiers, and then the long-term rebuild phase. So we built 3 different models for those 3 different time periods in order to accurately predict demand. But each one of those models was a deep neural network based on category of product.
One more question, guys. There was a question about, can this type of dashboard be used to anticipate for large sales spikes like Black Friday, particularly whenever there's heavy dependence on manufacturer supply chain for product types like large appliances or something like that?
I would say absolutely. Any type of spike is where these types of algorithms. So in the past, you probably will have data from past Black Friday sales that you can look over and see what categories of products sell especially well. Challenge might be that in a natural disaster, people go things in response to the same event. Whereas in Black Friday, what people purchase is actually very heavily influenced by what's available. So you would need to be careful with how you construct your model, but it absolutely could apply in this case.
Awesome. I don't know if we can do this pretty quick. I know we're pushed up against time, but the purpose of the nested feature in the dashboard, there was a question about if there was go over the purpose of the nested feature.
Yeah, sure. So we can either for that nested feature, so we can sort by retail value or order quantity just to see what are the top, or like for example, for retail quantity for this one is highest. So if you want to know what are the high quantity or what's the retail value, so that's the use of the nested feature here, nested sorting option here.
And I think the thing to drive home here is that we're sorting also by delivery ETA. So we're getting a bunch of different sorts pulled out here that are coming into the nested. And in other dashboards, we might have more and more columns. So it's useful to sort by order quantity, then retail value, then some other fields as well, which is what that new functionality enables.
Excellent. Makes sense. Thank you, guys. Jen, if you want to hand it back over to me, I will go ahead and pull up the slides and just kind of wrap us up. I think Nelson had a little bit of trouble with his computer and he got kicked off.
I think I'm back.
Oh, Nelson's back. Okay, he made it.
I changed scenery.
Okay.
Hey, so for those of you who were not on at the very beginning when we announced Lit Leaders number 3, wanted to give everybody a heads up on that, and then also announce. I think, well, let's do. I don't know. Pick one. There you go. We'll go that one. So, so the Lit Leaders number 3. If you're interested in that, should be really interesting. A book called A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And if you're interested, just take a quick snapshot or hold your phone up to that QR code, and that will take you to the registration page. And then,
do you know the date? Do we have the date yet, Nelson?
We do, yes. Great question. It's going to be June 11th, so it'll be one Thursday, a week ahead of the Tableau User Group on the 18th, which is a great transition for us to Karen, your awesome dashboard. You want to tell us about who's going to be presenting on the 18th?
Yes, sure. Okay, so you'll notice on here, it does say again, virtual meeting. I'm really sad because we were planning to host this one at Chick-fil-A. So that would have been really not, as you can tell, and it doesn't look like I'll probably still be working from home in June. Many of us will. And so we know a lot of you guys are probably in the same boat. So we're going to stick with virtual meetings for the time being. They're going pretty well. And the next one is actually going to be I'm excited. It's June 18th. We have Anna and Christian Felix presenting. Christian is the ATUG leader for, is it Phoenix, Nelson? Phoenix?
Is correct, yes.
Yes, and also Josh Preston, who is also from ATUG. He works at Georgia Tech here in Atlanta, is an active ATUG member. I don't know, Josh, if you're on, but he will also be presenting in June. So we have a great lineup, and if you are looking for more information or want to plan any of these, put them on your calendar. Just come out, check out this workbook. And if you're interested in speaking, you'll notice you can feel free to click on a link for one of the future meetings. If we don't have speakers, you'll see that link and it'll show up and you can send us an email.
That's awesome.
Any parting words, Nelson?
No, thanks everybody for joining. We know these virtual meetings are not exactly what we all hope to be doing, but given the fact that this is where we are, we're excited to have such great participation and really appreciate all the presenters today. And Anna, as always, great job at halftime, and really look forward to June. And that's it.
We'll see you guys soon. Everybody stay safe.